really fun game on a Sunday night. However, the ending is one that we question as the Sixers fall by 3, 111-108. Welcome to the Sixers postgame show, live from the Xfinity studio, along with Rich. I'm Devon. Bree is here producing, as always, the president of basketball operations. All of you in the chat, great to see you as we all vent together and have a conversation about this one. Once again, the Sixers fall by 3, 111-108 to the Detroit Pistons. We are presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And Rich, it's never ordinary with this basketball team because they had an opportunity, certainly there in the end. They led by double digits at one point. They looked like they could possibly steal this one. And then there at the end, an opportunity to force overtime or play the coaching game there of go for a quick 2, certainly a 3, all of that. We'll get to that. We'll talk about the big men minutes and Andre Drummond as well, what the guards gave you, what everybody else in the rotation did. But we have to get right away to the takeaway, the big takeaway, from Rich Hoffman, and what your big takeaway is, the main thing.
They ran out of gas in the second half. I believe they had 44 points in the second half. And the big takeaway, guys, I am, on a Sunday night, I'm going to be a little more chill because Devon and I sat here before this game and said, hey, this is a tough spot for the Sixers. They're playing a very physical team. I thought that was a really good game. I thought it was unbelievably physical. Good effort by the Sixers. Second half offense was not good enough. There's a lot that goes into that. Cade Cunningham made some plays down the stretch as well. I thought the Sixers did an awesome job on him early on with VJ Edgecombe and their strategy. But yeah, it was a winnable game for them. They put themselves in the position to win that game, and they just couldn't handle it down the stretch, man. And, I think that big takeaway for me, guys, and this is not going to be as exciting, relax. It's okay. It's okay. I honestly feel okay about the Sixers in that game. That team has won 5 in a row. Could have got this one for sure. Pistons made their shots. Sixers, it just felt like they were stuck in the mud. They had a lot of very switchable guys on the other end of the floor. There are some things you can question. Why is Trendon Watford not in the game down the stretch, and some other things too. But I don't feel any worse about the Sixers after that game than I did coming in. I thought that was a decent fight with a shorthanded team against Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren, who was just a crazy physical game. Like, Devon, one thing that was we kept remarking about in the game, it just felt like when you play the Pistons, the ball is above the cylinder the entire game, and people are just whacking at it, and there's guys on the floor. It was one of those crazy physical games. Came up a little bit short because of the execution down the stretch. Just felt like Tyrese Maxey also had to work a little bit too hard. That he wasn't getting a lot of help besides Tyrese going one-on-one and sort of hunting the mismatch the entire game. So a lot of things that we can individually get in there. Not all of them are bad. Not all of them are bad for sure. But yeah, that's a disappointing one for sure. But I would say to you guys, just relax a little bit. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, because you can't. We've been all doing this as basketball fans for all our lives for a long time. We can't react like it's an Eagles game where everyone is one of those 17 games, and you're looking at how important they are, and each one of them matter. And when we talked about it in the pregame, they all matter in a lot of different ways. And in this one, it was for me and Rich. We talked about this, including Bree, that hey, we wanted to see, can you on the second night go out there and make this a game? Not only did they make this a game, it looked like they were going to take this game from the Detroit Pistons. So they gave the effort and all. But when you react and you see, I'm big on how did it happen. At the end, man, you got to get, and it wasn't even just the final possession, Rich. It was also a few of the other possessions right before, because
the whole second half.
They kept looking for the quick 3, being down 3 points, when you still had the clock working with you a bit, especially with the players that were on the floor, where the Pistons were missing some of those free throws, from Duren to Cade Cunningham missing free throws as well. And then you have Asor Thompson and Ron Holland on the floor. Duncan Robinson had already fouled out. So if you want to play the free throw game, take the quick 2. Don't over dribble and waste 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds, where that's precious time. in an NBA game. And if you get a missed free throw like you did at the end, maybe it's a 2-point game and you don't have to go for the 3, or maybe you do go for the 3 simply because you just want to win at home and you go for it however you wanted to play it out. It's all right, as Rich said, we don't have to overreact to things because they gave a fantastic effort in this one to a team that right now, I just simply thought they were going to go in there and beat the Philadelphia 76ers. They did, but they had to earn that one tonight. They got Cade Cunningham in foul trouble early. They got Jalen Duren in foul trouble. Same thing with Duncan Robinson. The Pistons hit some big shots there where you live with Ron Holland taking those threes. You live with some of the others, including Asor Thompson and Javonte Green. You live with those guys taking and making those threes, but you also have to capitalize on the other end. So great effort, questionable ending, but a great effort overall by this basketball team. And to your point, they did run out of gas.
They did run out of gas. And they also played a high-energy game as well. Let's talk about why that was a close game. I thought for, let's say, 2.5 quarters, because, again, at the end of the third quarter, things sort of fell apart there, and I thought their offense was the one that let them down in that stretch. And, Devon, I do have to say it is a running bit now. I think they're minus 90 on the year for the third quarter. That's bad. I don't have any way to sugarcoat it. Like, I think in general, if you look at a full season, they're not going to be that terrible over a third quarter, and there's a little bit of randomness involved in it. But I'm sick of watching the same exact game script, and I think you do have to give them credit for being awesome down the stretch in a lot of fourth quarters. Not as much tonight, but they have won a lot of these games in the fourth quarter. Yeah, I mean, the third quarter is just a train wreck every night. And, you know, their offense got stuck in the mud. They let Cade get to the line. They were in the bonus as well. But, okay, let's get to the reason why they were in this game. They were winning this game. This game was close. And that was the Pistons run that Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren pick and roll the entire game. Like, that's their only play. And you know what? They're going to be a pretty darn good team because both of those guys are excellent players. But the Sixers made the smart tactical decision. Hey, for the most part, we're going to have VJ, we're going to have Kelly play up very aggressively against Cade Cunningham. And we're going to have Drum, we're going to have Bona, we're going to have these guys up at the level of the screen, if not trapping that screen. And for the most part, I thought, like, you got Jared McCain got a steal in the first half of that. Cade tried to throw a pass to Duren on the slip. Jared McCain came from behind, got a steal. Drum got a steal on a back tap as well. And as we talked about it, as the game went on, even the buckets they would make, like there was one where Cade lobbed it into Duren, but Maxey was there to contest it. It was pretty much a 50-50 ball. Okay, Duren got it. There was Asar Thompson made a couple of threes on that. Ron Holland made a couple of threes. And those are plays where you're like, you know what? That's good defense. You'll live with that. Pistons shot it pretty well from beyond the arc tonight. So that was half of their game plan. The other half of the game plan was we're going to attack two guys because the Pistons, they are really good defensively. There are not a lot of weak links. First guy, Duncan Robinson, who they attacked the entire game.
As they should.
And the second one was, especially when he got into foul trouble, was Cade Cunningham. And that sort of was their offense. And I think if there is a criticism that I have of how the Sixers played tonight, it felt a little bit too matchup honey. And it just felt like they were spending 10, 15 seconds of the shot clock trying to get that. There were a lot of plays where Tyrese Maxey did not get that switch that he wanted. And it's like him going one-on-one against Ron Holland. And by the way, a ton of contact being allowed on the perimeter. And it's just like he's not getting a very good look because he has to go one-on-one as an ISO. And that's not even a shot against Tyrese because I thought he battled and his fourth quarter was very good for the most part in a game where he struggled more, scoring the ball. So that was part of it. And so did that strategy mess with them at the end of the game? Maybe. I think so. They weren't able to get it. Yeah, so we can get into the final possessions down the stretch and all those things, but I did think they got a little bit matchup honey. I guess the one thing I would say, because there's a lot of Nick Nurse criticism right now in the chat, the one thing I would say that I think is a reasonable thing to question is that after Trendon Watford has that amazing game, he does not play a lot down the stretch. He only plays 25 minutes in this one. Again, he was not as good as last night, but in a game where I just laid out the terms of engagement where they really struggled offensively. The Pistons in the half court were making things really hard for the Sixers to score on them. Did you want to see more of Trendon Watford down the stretch?
I did. My only wonder was, who do you take off the floor? Because Edgecombe did make a three, which was a big three. Defensively, he was still active. He had some bad decision-making there, but Grimes is out there. You still need the opportunity to score, and of course, Maxey is there. So what do you do when you do have to have a five out there if it's going to be Drummond or Bona down the stretch? Who do you take off the floor? Kelly Oubre is also out there, but who comes off the floor?
I think Oubre would be the guy that some people would want to take off the floor.
I would not, because you need his defense. And so I think it maybe leans Grimes or Edgecombe. And in this case, again, I just really don't know who you take off the floor.
Yeah.
It's a good problem to have, but he's the one that is the coach and has to make that decision. And while I would want Watford on the floor, I just really don't have the answer of who I would take off the floor, because Kelly Oubre I'm leaving out there for the defensive purposes. He wasn't great down the stretch, but he did have some moments where he forced Cade Cunningham to do some uncomfortable things, driving him right into Andre Drummond in the paint, forced a tough shot. Some he made, some he did not. But do you want to take Edgecombe off the floor? Maybe he's the one that I do take off the floor, just because, hey, if I'm going to have the defense out there, Maxey is battling, so he's playing defense. Grimes, we know, is a two-way type of player where I'm okay with it. And with Watford and with Kelly Oubre out there, I can live. Or just simply, maybe there's a defensive offensive substitution where you're looking at one way where you take Watford off, bring the kid back in there. Maybe I lean Edgecombe at that one. As poor as Grimes' shot selection is and as frustrating as he can be, I'm still looking at, you know what? He's not afraid to take the shot, where I do look at Edgecombe, although he did make that three.
He had a couple
there were too many times.
Record scratchy moments tonight.
Exactly. Yeah. So I go with the guy who, as frustrating as it may be, he's going to take that, no, don't take that shot. But it went in, and he helps you win the basketball game.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So to answer your question, it would be Edgecombe if I take off anybody off the floor.
I think that's probably right. And I think my general answer on that is I understand wanting more Watford in the game, but I also understand why they went with the guys that they went with, because those are the guys we talked about how bad the Sixers are in third quarters. Well, they've been awesome in fourth quarters. And those three guys, Tyrese, VJ, and Kelly, like the two guys besides Tyrese are probably the two options that you would take off the floor. Maybe
and Grimes too.
And Grimes
has helped them win in the fourth quarter.
They've been the ones. So I kind of understand going with that. Now, I will say I had a couple issues with Kelly tonight, because down the stretch, the issue that I had with him, and again, like I think he's had an excellent start to the year. It's not the biggest issue, but if you saw the last 5 minutes of that game, man, they were just doubling Cade Cunningham the second he got over half court. Like, Nick Nurse was like, go. And a couple of times, Cade Cunningham, one time on the absolute poster dunk of Andre Drummond, where Drummond gets the blame, I think, from some people, and he gets the ugly highlight on that one. Quentin Grimes was trying to double on that play. And Kelly Oubre, it's hard. It's hard. Trust me. Cade Cunningham is an awesome player, and I think that's part of my theme tonight, is that, like, hey, that's a very good team on the other side guy, as well, right? You got to try and force him to Quentin Grimes in that situation, and he let him get downhill. And then there was another one.
And that was to Cunningham's left, right?
Yeah, and Cunningham
Oubre's right.
Yeah.
And he did, but he didn't angle it enough. He was sideways.
You got to get on. You got to sit on that left hand, because Grimes was doubling from the right side. Right. So that was a little bit of a bummer. And then there was another play where Cunningham basically rejected the screen that would have caused the double. He gets left, and then he gets into the mid-range, nice turnaround jumper.
Created a lot of space on that
by him as well. Look, that's a great play, but because the Sixers were having success with those doubles, I would have liked to have seen Kelly stay in front of him on those plays, but that's it. I mean, like, look, that's going to happen. Cade Cunningham is going to be an all-star for a long time in the NBA. I mean, it was a weird game. They played him, what was he, like 1 of 9 to start the game? He had 5 turnovers overall in the game as well. Like, he wasn't really doing a lot. I thought they had a good strategy against him, but in the third quarter, he got going a little bit. And I think it was a bummer, man. They were in the penalty at the end of that third quarter, and he sort of grifted 4-6 free throws at the end. That got him going.
Can't get mad at him either, because we see how it happens on the Sixers side. Yeah. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. So that was a bummer. I understand what the Sixers were trying to do, but nice plays by Cade Cunningham down the stretch.
Yeah, that's why he is who he is. That's why he's the all-star that he is, the all-NBA player. That's the main thing. From Rich Hoffman, they ran out of gas, and it was just too much. I'll also point this one out when we talk about the last play. Drummond, as good as he was, which we'll talk about, they cannot. Well, they can throw it to him in the corner because they have to as a release valve. He cannot take that three-pointer. 2 for 3, you made 2. Fantastic. He wasn't thinking, so the shots weren't ugly. They weren't air balls. They weren't too long. He shot the ball well. He cannot take that shot in that spot. With the time and possession, situationally, he cannot take that shot no matter what. I understand you made the 2. You cannot take that shot. Somebody has to get the ball back. He also needs to understand that he has to give the ball back, set a screen, and maybe allow somebody else to get a better look at the basket. That wasn't the play that they needed in that spot.
No, I mean, and you called it on the second corner 3 that Drum made, his second one of the game. Like, that was when the Sixers were in a groove. They find Drum in the corner, and you were like, that's good. And it's so funny that
his night.
It's so funny that I guess when he has time to think about it from the free throw line, it's a very mechanical free throw, and he shoots the percentages that he has in the corner. I mean, it's not a good looking shot, but at least he's confident doing it. But yes, down the stretch, that is a terrible shot. But I also think it's emblematic of they just weren't getting a lot of good stuff in the offense, and that's I think some of that you have to give credit to the Detroit Pistons for their perimeter defense. And then the Sixers got to work a little bit harder for their buckets. I think they needed to have a little bit more ball movement, call a few more plays in that stretch. Look, sometimes that happens when you get tired, right? And I thought that was a tired fourth quarter stretch. Yeah. So the offense, that is what let them down to me in this game. Well, you learn, right? We talked about it before the game. Is the Sixers' third-ranked offense in the league or the Pistons' second-ranked defense in the league going to win out? Ultimately, in the fourth quarter, in that second half, it was the defense that won out.
And the third quarter woes of the 76ers that you alluded to, up 10 and an opportunity to push it to at least 12, 13. And they let the Pistons go on a run and cut that lead. And eventually it's a back and forth game there in the end. All right, we're going to take our first break, everybody. We come back. We'll give you the player of the game. We'll talk about Andre Drummond as well and some of the other standout things for us. We'll check in with Kyle Neubeck from the arena. Sixers fall by 3, 111-108, now 6-4 on the season. Pistons 8-2, sit atop the Eastern Conference. They'll see them on Friday in Detroit. Little payback maybe? Joel Embiid, maybe Paul George. We shall see. But we talk about this one. Let's get it all out right here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show. And we are presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Even in a loss, we win because we got you and we delivered another win with the parlay that I had. I think Quentin Grimes sold out Bree on this one tonight. So unfortunately, that is not the case for Bree, but we got you some there tonight with the run that we had there of the Tyrese Maxey over 6.5 assists and also the Jalen Duren rebounds, 10+. We got you covered on that one. Hope you made the bet at Bet365 as one of the 90 million users worldwide. Live streams of over 780,000 events each year and the early payouts in the NBA, the NHL, MLB, and the NFL as well. If you are not part of Bet365 like we are, you got to go and sign up right now. And that's by becoming a new customer where you can sign up at Bet365. New customers can get $300 in bonus bets. When you bet $5, that's win or lose. All you have to do is deposit $10, place a bet for $5. You get $300 in bonus bets. Again, win or lose. You're not getting this anywhere else. The bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And guys, the other day, I was at Kyle Neubeck's house. He was pumped to watch basketball, but his setup, total mess. Lagging, buffering, and switching between apps, trying to find the game. And he claimed he was a big fan, but I feel like I've been fan-fished. See, if you call yourself a basketball fan, you gotta have Xfinity. It's the ultimate sports destination. I can find the best games and my favorite teams all in one place. And the way that I watch, guys, it's next level. It's the perfect fan flex. I've got all the action right there in my living room, plus Xfinity's best picture and sound with enhanced 4K, so clear that it feels like I'm in the arena. And sometimes I've got 4 games going at once because why not? On top of that, I get real-time notifications and live stats right there on my TV. It's the best seat in the house every time. Next game day, make sure that big fan isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers post-game show. 111-108 is the final. Sixers on the wrong end tonight. They get to play their third and final game of the homestand on Tuesday when they host the Boston Celtics. Then they take on the Pistons in Detroit on Friday for a little bit of payback. As Rich mentions, Xfinity, let's get to the Xfinity Big Takeaway. The Big Takeaway presented by Xfinity. Visit Xfinity.com to learn more. All right, Rich, the big takeaway from this one tonight is that, for me at least, when we talk about this entire game, and you laid out everything with it all, the big takeaway is the third quarter, again, a problem. And they have to find a way to close things out a little bit better down the stretch in these tight games. Yes, they were shorthanded once again, but I just go right back to the third quarter, up 10, an opportunity to push that lead a bit going into the fourth quarter because you know Cade Cunningham dealing with foul trouble. The same thing for Duncan Robinson and Jalen Duren. Take advantage of what is in front of you. They allowed you to make this a game. No, you're good enough to make this a game. They did their part, though, of allowing you to stay in the game. The third quarter woes continue to become a problem for the Philadelphia 76ers. At one point, I'm sitting there saying, this is maybe the best third quarter that they've had all season.
It's that second
And then it's
half.
that final 3 to 4 minutes of the third quarter where they cannot get out of their own way.
They can't get out of their way, man. It's weird. It's very annoying. I had the stats.
And just to give, I'll give you the third quarter in general. They held a 13-point lead in the third, and then eventually the Pistons outscored them 34-21 in the third quarter.
Yeah, I mean, especially at that end, like Cade Cunningham was just getting to the line whenever he wanted, and I thought it was their offense that let them down. There were a couple transition buckets that they gave up, and it got a little matchup honey, and yeah, they got in foul trouble on the other end. But I completely agree with you. Like, I do think this third quarter thing is going to normalize at some point because it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's just one part of the game. Like, at some point you're going to start to make shots in that quarter. At some point you're going to start to play better in that quarter. But I completely understand why fans are frustrated because they're just watching the same script every single night. It's like, all right, the first quarter is pretty bad. Second quarter is awesome. Third quarter is horrendous. Fourth quarter is usually great. It wasn't great tonight, but usually great. And it's like, all right, we know how this movie goes for the most part. It's just, is it going to end in a win or a loss at this point? So, yeah, it's very frustrating. I had the stats the other day. I'm looking at them right now. They are the worst third quarter team in the NBA by a lot. I don't know if this includes tonight's game, but they are negative 35.2 net rating in the third quarter, and that doesn't even include tonight's game. That's going to get worse after tonight, after losing a quarter 34 to 20, like you said. Man, I mean, they got to figure that out. I don't understand what's happening. I think some of that has to do with the non-Maxey minutes are brutal, so that stretch with Quentin Grimes and VJ as the primary guys, and with Bona sometimes in that stretch. It's been a struggle. Tonight wasn't really even that. Like, they just sort of ran out of gas at that point. I guess to that point, we've been talking about what Jared McCain would mean for that stretch, and like how he must be or how he could be a stabilizing force. Hopefully. What have you made? I mean, it was kind of weird, right? Where Eric Gordon gets the first quarter minutes in tonight's game, and everybody's like, wait, what the heck's going on with Jared McCain right now? They do bring him in the second quarter, and he only plays a little bit in the second half. It's like a very short stretch. What are your big takeaways? Xfinity, big takeaway. What are your big takeaways from Jared's start these first two games?
So he played basically 3 minutes in the second half, the entire second half. He played 3 minutes. He took it was a very short
stretch,
in the second half. And I guess my only thing would be that he just simply does not have his legs yet. He looks slower. He does not look like he has that burst to get past the defenders. He has that big brace on. You can see it, even though he has the compression sleeve over the brace. He has that big brace on. And I wonder if he's just simply, just as we talked about in the pregame, he's really thinking about, he knows that it's there when you shouldn't worry about it being there. And again, having been there, and I'm just playing pickup, but I was able to run this fast. I was able to cut this way. I was able to put the ball between my legs and spin and do all this stuff and jump a certain way, but I cannot help but know that this big metal thing is on my leg, preventing me from doing the things that I want. So I'm not making an excuse for him just because, again, I went through it and he's playing an NBA game. I think he is overthinking it a lot when it comes to that. Now, mind you, we talked about this. He hasn't played basketball in 11 months. So you couple that, the 11 months of absence with the brace out there on the floor and trying to find his way out there on the floor with the rest of his teammates who he hadn't played yet with, VJ Edgecombe, Quentin Grimes, Trendon Watford. He has no familiarity with them outside of maybe some pickup games that he had in their open runs, certainly not with Grimes because Grimes wasn't in town. There's a lot there, and they need him. They're going to need him. So while we point out that it is very early, we're not going to overreact to the loss. I'm not going to overreact yet because it's not even 2 full games. He hasn't even played. I don't even think he's played a full quarter in terms of his minutes. Maybe he has. Maybe he hasn't played a full 2 quarters in the minutes that he's played between Chicago and tonight. But yeah, you can clearly see that he played 8 minutes and 51 seconds in total. He's clearly not himself, and he has to figure out how to break through that mind game of it all, and also just simply trust his work, all the work that he has put in for the moment to get to the NBA. Trust the work. He always talked about it last season in those 23 games that he trusted the work that he has put in. Trust the work, and I think he'll be fine. But right now, he clearly does not look like himself.
I think you nailed it. So to me, what is concerning is that he is not getting any separation on his moves. None. And obviously, we know coming into the league, that was one of our concerns. Is this guy going to be able to get separation? Well, in November and early December last year, he was getting separation, and he was doing it with craft. He was doing it with being able to use his body. Like he was able to ward people off and was a stronger player than we've seen. He's not doing any of that right now. And I think Joaquin in the chat made a good point. He said that brace looks like a parking boot right now. That's a big brace. They zoomed in on that thing tonight, man.
I'm telling you, I can bring mine in just for show and tell on the show. I can bring mine in just as a reference to what he is wearing on his knee. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow, or Tuesday for our show. But it's a big brace, man.
It's a big brace.
It's a big brace.
So okay.
And look, here's the other thing, not to cut you off. Yeah. So when I mentioned the brace and just the mind game it plays, Rich, they can do everything. They size your knee. They measure your knee for this. I cannot wear Joel Embiid's, right? I can't because he's a 7-foot dude with a large leg and a big knee. I'm way smaller. Jared McCain is a big guy. I can't wear his because the way his is. The whole thing is, man, that brace, yes, it fits. There's no answer for moisture on your, with the perspiration that you have on your leg when the brace starts to slide.
Okay.
It starts to slide. You're constantly trying to pull it back up to get it right into the knee. Then you're going to the Velcro to adjust the straps again, even though you already have it as tight as possible. But let me do it again, right? Because of that. So that's where those mind games come into play with that brace. Just because of how uncomfortable it is. And the thing that you can't control, you can't put a compression sleeve under it because when you put a compression sleeve under it, that's also compression that's going to have it slide now as you're moving and running and bending your knee. So that's where that stuff does come into this whole scenario of what's going on with that brace. And you're right. Both of you are right. That brace is very big. I'll bring it in for show and tell.
And people are also, let's do it. Rothman, show us your brace day.
I think that's in the next block.
At the PHLY Sixers show. So there are a lot of people also in the chat mentioning, like, why is he wearing that brace after 10 months of an injury? I'll just say, I'm not a doctor. I don't know. It is, but it is an alarmingly big brace, and I think it's certainly hurting him on the offensive end. You mentioned the one shot he took in the second half. It's when he got on that fast break, and I think he's driving down the left side with Javonte Green just right in his hip pocket, and he can't shake him. Now, I will say, tonight's game, they let a ton of contact go in tonight's game on both sides. It was a very weirdly officiated game because there were possessions where I was like, oh, the Pistons got fouled, no call on one end. Sixers got fouled, like just both of them attacking the rim. But they also were calling some ticky-tack stuff. But I also think that physicality, it sort of played into the Pistons a little bit more. The team that wants to get Paul Reed on being on the team in the mud against you and lock you up in the half court. I think in a game with more whistles and less contact allowed on the outside, I think the Sixers, while Cade Cunningham is awesome and can burn you in that regard,
Fantastic.
Sixers do have more ball handlers than the Pistons do and more options. So I think that could have played a part in it. Okay, but Jared didn't get by anybody tonight, even with those rules. Now, I will say, they brought him in the first half, and they went right to the lineup that we all wondered about. Like, are they going to be able to play all three of these guys? And that is Maxey, McCain, and Edgecombe, all on the court.
Scrappy.
At the same time.
Scrappy.
And it was weird, man. I need to look back at what the numbers of that lineup did.
Scrappy.
They weren't scoring, but they were getting stops, which is the exact thing we all were worried about. You're like, you can't get stops with that lineup. But we talked about the play earlier when they were trapping Cade Cunningham on the pick and roll. Jared is sticking his nose in there and reaching around Jalen Duren for the steal. I felt like Jared had like 5 deflections in this game too. Like
that's the thing.
His defense was good.
He wasn't thinking about it then, right? He's just reacting. He's just doing it. He's just doing his thing, digging down, getting his hands in there on Jalen Duren. Side to side, the mobility was fine as he's contorting his body with his knee, and he's not thinking about it. Then you're just doing it. It's the offensive end where you're thinking because you feel like you have to think so much when you're trying to make, instead of it being instinctual, trusting the work, he is thinking on the offensive end. Defensively, though, man, you are right because they were getting after it, and we were like, all right, let's see how this goes. And small guards together, they were just going after it, and they were getting their hands in there, diving on the floor for some of those.
Yeah, I was impressed, man. I was impressed. They scrapped with the smaller lineup. That's part of the reason they were in the game. And by the way, Jared, he just didn't scrap on the offensive end. Like, do you remember the one play where Jabari Walker got the putback? That was Jared who initially stuck his nose in there on a corner crash on an offensive rebound. And little Jared McCain in this game where there's just violence at the rim, the entire game is volleyball on it to Jabari Walker for the bucket.
Yeah.
And yeah, there were a couple plays too where he got his hands on the ball with Cade, and Cade ended up picking it up after kind of the ball getting deflected back and forth. Man, I thought his defense was really good. But obviously, like, if Jared McCain is going to make the impact that we all hope he's going to make, the offensive stuff's got to come first because we know he's not an all-world defensive player. So a little bit of a weird start. The other thing I'll say about him too, Devon, like, it just was weird how they handled him the entire weekend because, like, last night it's unorthodox where Nick Nurse is like, well, he was available if people got in foul trouble, but we wanted to save him for this game. Well, you didn't really save him for this game.
Eric Gordon got in before him.
You brought him in the second quarter. We had to see Eric Gordon minutes tonight. Those minutes didn't go well, by the way. It's fine. Eric Gordon, I'm not expecting a lot from you. But yeah, Eric Gordon comes into the game for you, and all you get is 9 minutes. Like, when we talk about minutes restrictions, it's like, all right, 20. Like, that's fine. 9 minutes. It's like, what are you even getting from that right now? And I don't know if that was Nick Nurse just trying to win the game and trying to play Maxey more minutes and VJ more minutes or whatever. But yeah, I mean, he should be playing 15 to 20, right? With the minutes restriction. 9 minutes.
I would think
Play him in the first quarter, at least over Eric Gordon, if you're going to play him 9 minutes. Because then you could get him up to 15, right?
Yeah, I wonder how he looked in practice on Friday.
It's a great question.
I wonder how he looked in practice.
They know more than us, too.
Yeah.
It's not even that I'm questioning the decision from the Sixers because they know
Something's
more than us.
not right.
But I think there's got to be another explanation because the way they have handled him over this weekend it's been a little weird. And I mean, let's also go back to, he suffers the injury. I believe it was like a day before media day when people say, he has the thumb injury, and he comes back faster than we thought. Where
Yeah,
I think
some thought 6 to 8. It was really like 4 or 5.
Yeah, most people thought it was Thanksgiving. The concerning issue, though, as I'm talking through this, is
It's not
that
the
was
hand.
the thumb. It's not the hand.
It's not the hand.
It's more the knee injury that he suffered basically a year ago at this point. So that's Jared McCain's night. Weird, right? And you're going to need to see more offensively. But yeah, he looks rusty and he does not look like the same guy for all the reasons we laid out. hopefully that improves. I think it will.
And I will say this quickly before we take our break. I will say this, that when Paul George was dealing with that injury that you talked about in pregame, it took him a while. Even when he came back, game one, he looked okay, saw some things, but overall we were like, yeah, that's not Paul George. He doesn't look right. Then he does it again, and he was never the same the entire season. So there's that. And also in terms of why is he still wearing that brace 11 months after the surgery or 12 months after the surgery? Well, I mean, it was the meniscus, but mine was the ACL, and I still had to wear the brace until they gave you the clearance that you cannot wear the brace. Then even when you take that brace off, they give you another brace, much smaller, more of a sleeve kind of brace with straps and all, but they make you wear that brace until they tell you can not wear that brace. All right, that's the big takeaway presented by Xfinity. Visit xfinity.com for more information. You don't want to have your buffering and lagging like Kyle and Derek. You want to make sure you have good service like we do, like the three of us do. All right, when we come back, we'll give you the player of the game. We'll talk about Andre Drummond. He had a really good night, some questionable things, but overall good night for Andre Drummond, and we think we have the answer to the backup minutes for Joel Embiid.
We'll have some laughs in the third.
We'll have some laughs.
There were some funny things I saw tonight,
some
of which came from Andre Drummond.
Yes, indeed. All right, we take our break right here. It's the PHLY Sixers post-game show. Sixers lose to the Pistons 111-108.
And guys, everyone's got their favorite hard tea, but have you ever turned the can around to read what's in it? You can't, because they don't tell you. And while they hide what's inside, Crooked Tea brags about it. Crooked Tea brews real USDA organic tea for real flavor with zero sugar, no fake junk hiding behind the label. What you see is what you drink. So next time you're at the store, flip the can. And if you can't find the ingredients, just put it back on the shelf. Then grab a Crooked Tea, zero sugar, real tea, and fully transparent. You know it, Philly. Real recognizes real, so why drink the fake stuff? Crooked Tea, the only thing better is a strip sack in the Super Bowl. Visit crookedtea.com to find a store near you.
Listen, I think Rich already pointed it out that I've already done a Rothman read already when talking about Jared McCain and the various braces that he's going to have to wear and the ones that I wore because of my ACL repair, surgery, and then my Achilles. But I'll tell you again of how great Rothman Orthopedics is, because when I needed them most after those devastating injuries that I suffered, I needed to find the right place. And before I knew about Rothman, but I never really had to go. I made sure I found Rothman because of all the information that I had previously on Rothman Orthopedics. And they took care of me. They take care of you. They take care of many others that I know that I've recommended to Rothman Orthopedics. So if it's joint or muscle pain and that's keeping you from your daily things that you love to enjoy, or just simply walking the dog, working out, moving comfortably throughout your day, it's time to get the care that you deserve. At Rothman Orthopedics, you'll find the expert treatment for injuries, chronic conditions alike, with personalized care focused on helping you move better sooner. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to schedule your appointment. Rothman Orthopedics, your mobility, mine too. I needed it. Their mission. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365. We do have to also talk about, let's do the temperature check here, Bree, and do a temperature check on the backup center minutes presented by Ace Hardware. Ace Hardware Home Services, the player that's heating up, cooling off, in this case, heating up with the backup center minutes, and that is one Andre Drummond, who is heating up. Visit Ace Hardware Homeservices.com to get started on your next project. Drummond was fantastic tonight for the most. I mean, again, aside from a few things and a couple of laughs that we'll have at the expense of Andre Drummond, we talked about it last night, Rich, where what are you going to get from him? Who needs the backup minutes and who needs to have those in place of Joel Embiid when he's not able to play? Well, all he did was get a double-double, 17 and 12 to come into tonight. For the most part, he gave a great effort on the evening against Jalen Duren tonight. He really did.
He got the tough minutes tonight.
He got the tough minutes. I mean, you're dealing with a 22-year-old guy, 23-year-old guy in Jalen Duren, who is a fantastic center in today's league.
So my friend, Matt Griffin.
And he battled.
Used to coach him at Roman Catholic and Jalen Duren. I think it was only his first 2 years. Yeah. I think he went to Montverde after that. And you could see, like, that kid as a freshman, he just was built like he was built like a 25-year-old man. Like he just was already a beast. But now that he is in his mid-20s now, God, man, he just attacks every single rebound. And the Sixers got him a couple times. He tries to block a lot of shots. The best stuff that they got tonight, and again, this is part of their defense. Like the Pistons have really strong perimeter defenders, but they got Duren ready to block every single shot on the back line. They got a couple dunks for Drummond with Maxey and with Watford getting into the paint and finding him. They probably needed to do a little bit more of that. I would have loved to have seen Joel in the game tonight and actually space that guy out a little bit and make him work a little bit harder. I think that certainly worked against the Sixers tonight, not having that stretch center. Although Drummond, he did make a couple of threes. That last one was very poorly timed.
That was our WTF moment of the night because it was bad.
It was. No, I thought he battled hard, but he got the tough minutes tonight. He had to play against Cade. He had to play against Duren. I thought he struggled one-on-one on defense against Duren. Like Duren got him a couple times just driving from the free throw line top
Which
of the key.
Which is great growth in his game to now be able to put the ball on the floor face up, not back to the basket, not offensive rebounds, not just living off of those lobs, putting the ball on the floor. He had a dribble rip through, bring the ball up like Joel does, and drew a foul that I was like, oh, that's a development. I've never seen that from Jalen Duren, but he has gotten so much better at that work in the offseason and now is playing out in the regular season.
And I thought he was willing to get up, and I've talked about the strategy, which I thought worked for a lot of the game, which was the Sixers basically trapping Cade Cunningham or at least showing him a body at the level. And I thought Drum did a decent job. Now, Bona probably had one of his better games in a while as well, but he got the better minutes. He got to play against B-Ball Paul. It was a little easier for him. He got to play against the Pistons backups. I'm not changing my mind about how I feel about the Sixers backup situation with this game.
Heck no.
Because Drummond,
if anything, it made it feel a little more comfortable.
Yeah, so Drummond got the tougher minutes. Last point on Drummond, because it made me laugh, the first play of the game. I've never seen this on a jump ball. He volleyball spikes it past everybody in the circle, and Kelly Oubre runs it down. And it was like, it was like Top Gun beach volleyball scene where he jumps up and hits it, and Kelly Oubre just gets an easy dunk on the other end. Maybe they should do that more. I don't know.
Maybe they should. Get a quick 2 points.
People aren't ready for that. People aren't ready for Drum to actually get that degree of context. So that was pretty good. So yeah,
probably
Drum is still,
only in Drummond games too, not Joel, because Joel can't.
No, he can't
jump like that.
He can't. Okay.
Or shouldn't jump on
so
that.
That's Drum. Yeah, I thought he was fine. Oh, is this the first play, Bray? Oh, this is really funny. Yeah, he just taps it to Kelly Oubre. And I didn't even see who that is on the Pistons. It's just very, very funny. Yeah. Great job bringing that up, Bree. Oh, my God. You never see a jump ball get hit that hard, honestly.
First of all, here's one thing. For a while, when I was real young, it took me a long time to figure out, all right, which way are we supposed to be lined up and which basket it ours because of who was jumping
when
center.
You're a little kid,
you're
confused.
You figured out like what's going on. Yo, you can't tell me that still in the NBA sometimes. You've seen it before because guys don't even line up on the free throw line at times the way they're supposed to with the real basic things that you're supposed to know. You're also supposed to know who's supposed to jump center, which basket is yours, where you're supposed to line up and all, and you get confused on that. So I think they were kind of flat-footed Detroit because of how he volleyballed it. And you're like, wait a minute, is that my basket or is that their basket, right? So there's that. That's our temperature check presented by Ace Hardware. And you got to visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. It's starting to get cold this week now. No more of these warm 70, 60 days. And you're going to need Ace Hardware. Visit acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. By the way, if they stay in the top 3, he's a real candidate for an all-star big because of his numbers averaging a double-double. Jalen Duren.
Sure.
Right now at 19 and 11. If he keeps this up, and they stay at the top of the Eastern Conference somewhere in that top 3, it's going to be consideration for him for that. Let's take a quick break. Our final one. We come back. We'll get Rich's thoughts, talk about the player of the game. I think we all know who that is. We'll effort Kyle Neubeck again from the arena. It's the PHLY Sixers post-game show. Sixers fall to the Pistons. We're talking about it. All right, good people. Got to tell you about, one more great friends of ours here as we hang out with you when it comes to Bucci Jewelers overall here. And Bucci Jewelers, we all like to shine. And guess what? It's the holiday season now. It's creeping up on everybody, a little over a month as we are sitting here today talking about it. You're like, dang, is that close? Yes, we all know the feeling, though. You walk into the jewelry store trying to find something for your significant other, your partner, and suddenly you're in over your head. What are you to do? Well, here's the difference. It can be stressful, but it doesn't need to be at Bucci Jewelers, because Joe and Michelle, they have you at Bucci Jewelers, and design has been such a game changer. These guys make the whole process seamless. From the minute you walk in, they treat you like family. They actually listen, help you figure out what they'll love, and then their team designs something completely custom right there in their house. So next time you need the perfect piece, go see Joe and Michelle at Bucci's Jewelry and Design. 30 plus years in the game, voted Philly's #1 jeweler year after year. Over 1,000 5-star reviews, speaks for itself. Check them out at BucciJewelers.com and tell them the guys at PHLY sent you.
And guys, we're all excited that it's basketball season, and there is nothing better than being in the stands for the game, and the Game Time app gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. Hey, Sixers are playing the Celtics in a few nights. If you want tickets, head on over to the Game Time app. They have exclusive discounts like zone deals. You choose the section, Game Time selects the seat, and you save. You can easily find and buy NBA tickets and tickets for every kind of event in your area, whether it's a sporting event, a concert, a show, whatever it is. So guys, take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download the Game Time app today.
Welcome back. PHLY Sixers post-game show. And second night of the back-to-back. 1-1 now in the black unis. Disappointing loss, but a lot of positives to take out of this. And while we are short on time, we do want to get to some of those. Let's talk about the Tyrese Maxey player, the game guy. He's pretty good still. 33, 4 for 12 from 3. 4 rebounds, 7 assists. And this was on the second night where he really, we know, again, had to carry the load. So he got the contributions from Drummond. He didn't get the big scoring night from Watford, Oubre, Grimes, or anyone like that. But you got good balance. You got 12 from Jabari Walker, who I'm sure we'll talk about. But you got good balance, good overall scoring from the team. They just couldn't come through in the end where the baskets were needed. He needed more help in the end to help close this one out. And while the shooting percentage wasn't great, second night of a back-to-back, he still got his 33. He gave them an opportunity to win this basketball game. One bad shot at the end, I took that three-pointer that we looked at each other and said, that was a bad one. That's the only one that I really questioned tonight in the fourth quarter late.
If this might have been his worst game of the year, and it was still a very good game, right? And he had to work. You know, we talk about how the shooting percentages were hard. He had to work. He didn't have a ton of help. I do think that the offense didn't help him out in particular tonight, where I thought they got a little too matchup hunting happy. I think they needed to pass the ball around a little bit more, get him in the flow of the offense, because there were a lot of possessions where it's like, all right, man, he's got the ball at the top of the key against a decent defender with 6 seconds on the shot clock, make something happen. That's a lot to ask for him. And look, he had a couple stretches where he just rattles off 5 points real quickly. Like, made a couple nice threes. That one, I think it was against Javonte Green. That step back was beautiful. There was another play where there was a scramble. He makes a 3 on the sidelines. I did get a kick out of, he made the 3, and he mean mugged right in 12's face. Yeah, and had some fun. And 12 didn't break character on the sidelines. That was a pretty funny scene.
Come on, 12.
I thought credit the NBC Sports Philly camera crew. You got to be careful with how bad the Sixers transition defense is. When you do the close-ups on whether it's a player or somebody on the bench or whatever, you got to be careful because the Sixers might give up a bucket right after it's over. They had a couple nice cutaways, the 12 on the bench for tonight's game. So, look, Maxey, I thought he struggled at points in this game for him. But again, 33 points. Kept playing the entire game. Didn't really have a ton of help in terms of, other guys creating offense. Thrilled with his start.
Absolutely. Yeah. Player of the game, Tyrese Maxey, another 33. Oh, no big deal. 33 for Tyrese Maxey, unfortunately, tonight in the loss. All right, let's get to the arena. Check in on the Xfinity Mobile call-in line with Kyle Neubeck after a tough second night of the back-to-back that resulted in the L. But I saw your photo, Kyle, that even though, we talked about Drummond and how good he was tonight, he even had a friend that visited him. He visited you guys in the post-game press conference, bringing the pup in, huh?
Drummond had I will add, a very well-behaved dog in here in the press room with us, because came up, popped his head up, looked at everybody, and then he just laid down and made absolutely no noise the entire time. So good job by either Drum or Drum's dog trainer on getting his dog ready to enter the arena and attend a press conference. Good job all around.
Well, a good job all around by the Sixers tonight to stay in this game all evening, make it one, have a double-digit lead. But unfortunately, Kyle, the things that we focused on was, number one, the third quarter. After being up by 13 in that frame, it came back to bite them again. And then in the second half, late in the game, where they really had a chance to, number one, the final possession, which was puzzling and trying to figure out. Even before that, Kyle, I thought they had an opportunity just down 3, down 4, take the quick baskets, get some defensive stops maybe. If you have to play the free throw game, you do so. But great effort, but in the end, just some puzzling things down the stretch.
Yeah, and I'll also add, that's a very difficult team to be playing on the second half of your back-to-back. It's a big, athletic, defensive-minded team. They come into the night, I believe, third in defense in the league. And you can see why, especially watching them up close, when you can freely switch between Asar Thompson, Ron Holland, you got Duren on the back end. I mean, even Cade, who was in foul trouble at points tonight, is a guy that is at least big enough to bother some people and get in the way. And then that gives their better defenders, their athletes, time to come in as a second defender. I thought they did a very good job of funneling the guards where they wanted to go. It was especially pronounced for Jared McCain, but I didn't think the guards had a lot of opportunities to turn the corner and get downhill tonight. And the Pistons did a good job of funneling shots to guys who they clearly wanted to take shots. Like, give Drummond credit for hitting a couple threes tonight, but I think a crunch time 3-point attempt from Andre Drummond is something that the Pistons were happy to live with. Kelly Oubre obviously had a poor shooting second half and overall not a very effective game. So they played the averages, or they played the numbers there, and Detroit came out on the right side. So I tend to give them as much credit as I say, hey, the Sixers did this wrong or the Sixers did that wrong. They battled, and they ended up against a team that's now 8-2 with an all NBA type guard and a ton of really good defensive players.
Kyle, 2 questions based on what you just said there, because we haven't really talked about that last play a lot. Did Nick Nurse get asked about, what they were trying to do there? I mean, it's pretty clear that Detroit was going to switch everything and that they were going to guard the 3-point line, and they did a nice job on that. But did Nurse kind of expand on what went wrong for the Sixers there?
Yeah, so Nurse's basic explanation was they were trying to get a quick 2 there. I think and Tyrese, we talked to at the podium, followed up on it and said initial concept is get Kelly the ball, drive, score the quick 2, try to play the free throw game a little bit. And Nurse said, I think specifically, there was some bobbling that happened up top. I don't think they were properly prepared for, and this is what didn't make sense. They weren't properly prepared for Detroit to switch everything when they had switched a ton, and that's a team that is able and willing to do so. And once they got them junked up, they really just never recovered from that on the possession. So that was the main culprit, but it was awful, right? Like 16 seconds left, most of 16 seconds left, to only get a desperation 3 up at the end is just really bad situational basketball.
Yeah. And the other thing, which we have talked about a little bit so far, because I think it's probably the biggest storyline moving forward from this game, is the curious case of Jared McCain, right? Eric Gordon gets first quarter minutes in his place. Jared comes in, just doesn't feel like he has a ton of burst. Played okay defense, I thought, actually, which was kind of weird. But, only gets 9 minutes on the game. I guess after you both, from what you observed from the court there and also from talking to people after the game, what do you make of how this whole situation is unfolded? It seemed pretty weird this weekend, honestly.
I am definitely raising an eyebrow at what we've seen so far. The basic gist of Nurse's post game was he wants to have him on the floor with Tyrese Maxey. He thinks that's a setup that will make things easier for Jared on offense. Maxey talked a bit about he tried to run a couple plays specifically for Jared.
He did.
Get him coming off a screen and simplify things for him as he's trying to figure things out. But the fact that Eric Gordon was in that game in a 3-guard lineup, by the way, not just in the game, but in a lineup where it's like, if you want to get Jared McCain minutes, here's a prime opportunity. That was pretty shocking to me. And I think another thing that Nick Nurse said, which was very concerning to me, was having only played him 9 minutes tonight. He noted in the second half that he didn't think Jared's conditioning looked all that good in his second stint of the game. And I know that Jared has come out and talked about just this week about the mobility isn't quite there with the brace. That I think he used the phrasing, it's almost like dragging another leg around with him. And I think you can definitely feel that and see that. I don't think he was able to turn corners at all in this game, right? The dribble penetration was non-existent. The one time he got to the rim or close to the rim, Jalen Duren sent his shot into basically the second row. So I'm a little concerned about what we're seeing and what we're hearing. Obviously, it's very early days yet, but I think you combine how he looked with what we heard after the game, and I'm throwing up some, not a total panic, but there are some warning signs here for the rest of his year.
Nah, it's tough to watch it and see how he's playing out. Kyle Neubeck joined us on the Xfinity Mobile call-in line from the arena. Sixers now 6-4 after this one. We were talking about the final lineup. Not a lot of minutes for Trendon Watford down the stretch after what he did last night. What was your observation as you saw things playing out with Edgecombe and Oubre with Grimes and Maxey out there in a big? Did you have also a thought that maybe was this an opportunity for Watford to also be out there?
I think you certainly could have made the case. My guess, I don't think this specifically came up with Nurse after the game, because Trendon didn't play bad, but he didn't play particularly great in tonight's game. I think the logic was just the way that they've closed most of this year is play the 3 guards with Oubre and whoever the big is that's running hot that night. So Drummond's playing well. Oubre did not have a good game, but I think Nurse probably just ultimately rolled with a guy who has been one of their better performers this year. So would you go back and change it now that they lost? I think almost certainly. At the time, did I think it was defensible? Yeah. So I didn't have a lot of issue with that. I would say my biggest issue with the late game stuff was Drummond taking that 3. I know he made the other ones, so it's just not a thing that I would green light in that situation. The other one is if you're trying to play for 2 points there on that final possession and a quick 2, the first read, the first guy getting the ball, it cannot be Kelly. It's got to be Maxey. Whatever the design is, if you have to change the inbound or however that look has to change, he's got to be the guy to get the ball initially. He's your best player, best decision maker, has to go through him.
Kyle, last one. What do you make of sort of VJ's struggles here? I mean, I think it's been 4 games of kind of rookie type stuff after the early start.
Kyle, do me a favor. Hang on 1 second as you get ready to answer that one. We are getting ready to head into overtime. So everybody, thank you. We really appreciate you hanging out with us for the second night of the back-to-back. We'll be back tomorrow, 3 p.m. show with all of us on a Monday where we get to talk about 2 games played in the arena where Kyle is about to answer that question. Thanks, everybody.
So, number one, there's just a lot of young player stuff happening right now. I think he looks very sped up. I think in some ways there's probably a relationship between the shots haven't been there, and so he's going to press a little bit, and it just creates this really negative feedback loop where I don't think he's taken a lot of these mid-range looks that he hit early in the year, but his balance has not been as good on those. Instead of being straight up and down, there's a lot of twisting, leaning, fading, and so the mid-range efficiency is down. The three-point shots is just, he's a streaky shooter there. He's not the 40 to 45% guy he was there early, so I expect that'll turn at some point. But tonight was an example of when you watched him play at Baylor, he did not handle pressure and doubles and traps particularly well, I think, especially compared to Dylan Harper, but even against some of the other guards in this class. He was one of the worst guys in terms of turnovers dealing with that type of defense. And I thought Detroit really did a good job of saying, we're going to throw that at you and we're going to force you to make plays. Now, he made several attempts tonight to try to split doubles, to try to do different things to beat them. But I think you can still see that is a part of his game that needs to be ironed out, not just over this year, but probably multiple off seasons. Like, dealing with doubles and traps is a very difficult skill at this level with the athletes they're going to throw at him. So tonight, it's a very tough team that preyed on his specific weaknesses, and he's got the shooting slump going right now. So I do want to see some more of just him running point the way we saw early in the year, because I do think there's a little of, all right, if he's coming off of a screen and playing as an off guard on some of these possessions, I think he almost feels like he has to attack at times when he doesn't let the game come to you. That's why he played so well in stretches early in the season. So not overly concerned, but this is life with a rookie, even a rookie who flashed as much as he did first few games.
All right, man. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Thanks so much. Get home safely, man. It's crazy rain out there, and
I heard
thunder and all kinds of.
When that game ended, I don't know if all of Philadelphia heard that thunder. Like, the Sixers had that terrible possession at the end of the game. That was maybe the loudest thunder. The building shook.
Yeah, Bree said the building shook, and we agreed.
I was like, is it safe to still be in here? I guess it, even if
my
it isn't,
poor
we're
dog
almost
is
done,
at home, man. I got to get home and give him a big old hug. I'm sure he's shaking in his little boots right now.
Louis, you struggle with that.
100%, man. We'll get home safe, and we'll see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Thanks, man.
See you, fellas.
You got it. Kyle Neubeck joining us on the Xfinity mobile call-in line. Yeah, that was a loud.
That was crazy, man.
Did you guys, wherever you are, did you also get that loud bolt of thunder? Where it was at this thunderous, it was boom.
It was disorienting. The thunder was booming. Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
Can I say two more things, just smaller things from the game tonight? Jabari Walker, first half, that was his best stretch by a lot. Made a couple threes where I told you, I was like, man, has he made one of those yet? It doesn't feel like it, and he has. But
he made two, didn't he?
He made the above the break one, which was wasn't even that wide open. Had a nice cut for a bucket. Had the putback when Jared and him were wrestling for the rebound, and he comes up with the putback. Had some good secondary help. Good to see Jabari Walker have a decent start to the season. And then the last, this is a very small thing, but you guys know I'm obsessed with the challenges. I looked up the guy's name. Thank you to Kate Scott for saying it. The guy's name is Kareem Thawer, I think. She said it's a guy named Kareem on the bench. He's the only person on their staff directory, their video coordinator. So I'm going to assume that's who it is. He's had a couple good challenges where he sees a foul on the play, and it's not, like you think initially that he's challenging it for an out of bounds or something else, but he actually gets it overturned to see it was a foul. He got, I believe it was Jalen Duren tonight on one of his fouls. He got Jaylen Brown a couple weeks ago on one of those as well. So good to see that the Sixers have sort of figured out the challenge element. I thought he actually challenged another one in the second half. I could see what Kareem was trying to do with that one. That was a play where I think it was Bona contesting Duren's drive. And, it was a question of, did Duren elbow Bona in the face? They didn't give it to him, but shout out to Kareem on the bench. I actually think that's going to help the Sixers, especially if they're going to play all these close games. All they do is play close games, man.
The Chicago one was so frustrating because you had that one front to back.
Yeah.
That was the one. They'll have one. They'll have one soon. Maybe on Tuesday as Boston comes into town, and Boston has had their issues since we last saw them. So maybe the Sixers can get right against the Boston Celtics. Let's get to the super chats here that we do have. We have a couple. Don't worry, Bree. I got the glasses. You don't even have to. You don't have to do anything.
He's going to show off. He's going to read these. He's like in that doctor's office reading that bottom row.
That's right. Bernard says playing the Pistons is like playing football. Very physical team. Oubre and VJ were gassed. Played zone on Maxey the whole game. Bernard, thanks for the super chat.
Mostly agree with that. I think when you say played zone, Bernard, I think the thing is, as Kyle mentioned, they were switching a lot against him. And they had, again, if you didn't get that Duncan Robinson, and even like Cade Cunningham is not a bad defender. He just was in foul trouble for a lot of the game tonight. It's a tough team, tough and physical.
Yes, they are.
Look, there were a lot of people in the chat that said, hey, if the Sixers get them in a playoff at full strength, that's a team that they wouldn't mind seeing. I get that because they have weaknesses in terms of their shooting. Like I think in a playoff series, you might be able to scheme against the Ron Hollands and Asar Thompsons. And guys, like let's be real. If Ron Holland and Asar Thompson don't make a few of those threes tonight, Javonte Green made a ridiculous one as well.
Between them,
like they made some shots tonight that I think if you're the Sixers, Karis LeVert was on fire tonight. He's a good shooter. I mean, he's a streaky offensive player. He has nights where he'll shoot you out of a game.
4 threes made between Thompson, Holland, and Green.
Look,
and it seemed like there were 14 made threes between the three of them.
They were backbreakers. So again, I thought the Sixers played pretty well. So I do understand why a lot of people were saying, hey, I like our chances against these guys at one point. But they're a tough team, man. They're tough and physical, and they're really hard to score against, which is why I'm certainly not down on Maxey's game by any means.
No. Good effort by the team. Shorthanded, and you still competed at that level. Good stuff then. Hopefully it carries over against the Boston Celtics on Tuesday. Let's get to EJ Barrett here. Says, I'm here to like the video, say hi, and support. Got to go to work early. EJ, thank you.
Thank you, EJ.
Good night, EJ. We appreciate it. Get your rest. We'll catch up with you on the next show. Thank you so much for jumping in, say hello, supporting and donating with the Super Chat. EJ's fantastic. Look at that. Signed up as a diehard member and all, he's just great. Good stuff. Make sure you go sign up as a diehard member as well. Look at that Super Chat. I mean, the QR code right there at the bottom of the screen that Bree had. Make sure you just go ahead and do that. Or go to allphly.com. Also, before we get to Brian Pumper, let's tell you about the newsletter.
Oh, yeah.
My guy to the left.
Look.
The best newsletter around.
Look, I believe we have the link below in YouTube usually, but it's allphly.com/newsletter. You can read the QR code. Guys, I write about every single team, write about the Sixers. It's not quite as in-depth as this, but we have some fun. If you want to get caught up with Philly sports, I promise it's the only thing you need to read. Spend a couple hours on it every night. Make sure you subscribe. It's completely free. We're not going to charge you anything for it. It's completely free. I get you caught up on everything here at PHLY and Philadelphia sports. I know a lot of people that just read it in the morning. They feel like they're caught up, and whatever they missed the last day, they feel like they're all caught up. So please do your guy a favor and subscribe at allphly.com/newsletter.
Really appreciate it, everybody. Go read. It's the best. It's the best out there, hands down. All right, B Pump checking in. Corporate Brian Pumper says, VJ Edgecrumb appears once again. The honeymoon phase has ended, and now Buddy is Matisse 2.0. These guys went too far with the superstar comps. That's Brian Pumper with the first one.
Read the next one.
Chef Valdez Drexel Edgecrumb serving up them hot turnovers fresh out the oven. About 5 of them. You sit them for the foreseeable future in the fourth quarter.
So my response to that, does Ace Bailey even play in the fourth quarter? Does he even play? Because I'm looking at Ace Bailey's numbers. 5.9 points per game. He's shooting 40% on twos, 21% from beyond the arc. Man, Ace Bailey would love to have VJ Edgecrumb's problems. Mr. Pump It Up.
Absolutely. Look at Pump jumping in here just in the right time. You see a little struggle from VJ Edgecomb, who finished with 11 points tonight, 3 for 9 shooting. Played 31-plus minutes. He's going to be fine. Yeah.
He's been struggling the last few games, but when Ace Bailey has one of the games that VJ Edgecomb had in those first few weeks.
Talk to Rich then.
Let's talk.
All right. Doug Craig says one thing in the chat that I want to get to before we say goodnight. Sixers are fine. They have played Detroit and Cleveland on short rest both nights. They held their own. It'll be okay. Keep getting guys healthy. And that is with McCain already back, needing to fight through some issues. But Barlow, Paul George, both set to see the doctor at some point. Maybe they'll be cleared for the game against the Boston Celtics on Tuesday night. If not, then I'd be ticked off if either of them are not ready. If one of them is not ready, if not both of them not ready by Friday against Detroit, then we need to have a conversation.
Paul George, come on, man. I'm trying to defend you, and I don't know what's going on behind the scenes and what your medical issue is, but you've been playing 5-on-5 for a full month, and the fact that this team could just badly use another wing, so you don't have to play Kelly Oubre 40 minutes per game, and you could just throttle back a lot of these guards' minutes a little bit, have another guy who can make threes, but also play defense. Please, Paul George, come back this week. It would make a huge difference. But to Doug's point, I think they're okay. If you look at this weekend, I was really impressed with the game last night. I thought they played awesome. I think Joel looking as good as he did last night, that's good stuff. You're going to have to deal with this on back-to-backs where you don't have him available, but that doesn't really factor into the overall quality of the team. The big issue with this week, Devon, is just don't blow that game in Chicago, and I think it's a fine week. I think it's a fine week. Unfortunately, they did. They're going to have to make it up with a shorthanded game later in the year. That's all right. They're going to have a lot more chances, for sure.
What would that be, 7-2?
7-3.
7-3, sorry. 7-3 through 10 for the Sixers. All right. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it. Let's get ready to say goodnight. And we'll see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Rich and I and Bree together. We'll be back on Tuesday for Sixers Celtics. Celtics not looking all that great. So if they lose to them, and depending on how that goes, we'll probably be a little more upset against that Boston team, even though they do have Jaylen Brown and Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, Anthony Simons. We'll still be a little disappointed maybe in that one. All right, let's get ready to say goodnight with the world famous. It's the roll call. Everybody, we got to start it off with Bro and them. Bro and them, what up, Bro and them? Theo, Doug, Craig, Tommy Jackson. What up, Tom? Good to see you in there. We got Hedfa, Nona. Hey, ladies. Good to check you out in there in the chat. We appreciate you hanging out on the Sunday night. X-Man, what up? X, PG, only plays 74 games on contract years. Fair enough. Let's hope that's not the case.
There is not one fan base. It's such a weird thing, man. People don't really want him back, even though I think they clearly do need him back.
Need him back.
Anyway.
Definitely need him back. All right, Marty Bones. Hinky. What up, Hinky? Joaquin from Cherry Hill. Hey, Aaron. What up, Aaron? Vic. Philly 007. We already said Theo. Who else do we have, Bree? Because the internet is doing that thing again with me. I need to expand.
We got Theo. We got Sir Shmooey.
Sir Shmooey.
We got Al.
What up, Al? We got Joe. What up, Joe?
We got Joaquin.
Got Joaquin in
what
there
up, Vince?
in the mix. Vinny. Going off on Coach Nurse.
Of course he is.
Philly 007 Vic. Hinky, we already said. It looks like there's a lot of people in there that we have already pointed out. Racing is in there as well. Sean Comp. Ying. What up, Ying? Seeing Ying in there. Ying and Yang. Jim Cook. Rodem. What up, Rodem? And that's PHLY guy, Reza, that we see in there as well. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out on a Saturday and Sunday night. You could have been doing anything on these late nights, especially tonight. We have work and the kids getting ready for school and so on. We appreciate you hanging out with us on this back-to-back nights. Unfortunately, the Sixers go 1-1, but they gave us 2 entertaining games in the process of it all. We'll see you for a game on Tuesday. That's a 7 o'clock start, so we'll have the 6:30 pregame.
It's 8 o'clock start.
It's an 8 o'clock start?
Yeah.
Why did I think that one was 7?
Yeah,
National TV?
You should have seen Bree's face. Yeah, Peacock. Yeah, 8 o'clock start. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, gang. I lied. It's 7:30.
It's gonna be a late one.
Going to be a late one. 7:30 pregame. Hope that you are hanging out with us.
What are they doing with this 8 and 11 stuff, man? I'm sorry. I'm sorry about it. It's
go
bothering
on
me.
your rant, man. I
don't
get
have
it.
a rant.
Hey,
It's
mom. Hey, mom. No, you're right.
Starting the game at 11 o'clock, a national TV game. What are we doing?
The only good thing about that is when the Sixers are playing at 8 or 7:30, whatever,
Yeah, we can
and they're
catch-
playing at 8 when we get home. home, it's like,
we
got a whole
got a full half.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
While we're trying to wind down and we can't go right to sleep, got to eat some dinner.
That's true.
We can watch a full half of some good nationally televised basketball. Everybody, make sure you go like and subscribe to the show and the newsletter. We appreciate it. Read allphly.com to check out Kyle's recap, the good, bad, the ugly. Also, Derek had a really good piece that he wrote at allphly.com on Trendon Wofford. Go read that as well. And then we reconvene tomorrow at 3 p.m. right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. Like, subscribe. Make sure you see the bell icon. Click that button. Sounds like that, and you'll know it's game time for us right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. We're presented by Bet365. We appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow at 3. Bree is the greatest. She's the best president of basketball operations. She's not going anywhere. Don't even worry about it, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. Good night.
We all silly like the mayor.